Hey you guys, this is Jessica Chats. I'm Jessica, and today I'm going to be introducing myself to you all, as well as giving you a few dating and relationship advice. So let's get started. Okay, so a little background on me. My name is Jessica. I have two children, Julius and Jules. I am married to my great husband, Darren, and I used to do retail management and visual design for major retail stores. I loved what I did. I love fashion. I love to, put pieces together and make it something totally different, or try to start a new trend. And I like to just dress up and be me. So that's a little bit about me. And let's get started on some of this dating and relationship advice. Okay, so with this dating and relationship advice, I'm going to give me something to drink because, you got to get real when it comes to talking about relationships in general. And then marriage and dating, that's a whole nother subject. So, get a glass, a little champagne, because you about to get real right here. So, first question is, should you date someone with no job but has goals? Depending on how many jobs he's had in the beginning, before you met him, and how realistic is his goals. Because if his goals is realistic, and he has kept a steady job prior to meeting you, and he's honest with telling you he doesn't have a job right now, but he's working to get towards his end goal, then I would say it would be okay. But just make sure he has been bouncing around from job to job, can't hold a steady job, and talking about he got goals. Because obviously he doesn't have that many goals if he's bouncing around from job to job. Stick with something you know. So if you feel it, like if you feel like, okay, he's cute, I think I could really like him. But when you go on that date and you realize, oh, he ain't got no job, come on. You cannot pursue that. Not unless he's got a detailed background on what his goals is and how he plans on pursuing that goal. Those are the questions you need to ask on a first date anyway. Where do you work? Oh, you're not working right now? Well, what do you like to do? What's your background? You have a goals? Like those are the type of questions you should be asking. Most people in this generation, this age gap now, they kind of have goals set. You in this generation of modern technology, and a lot of people are trying to accomplish something or be their own entrepreneur. So like I said, you got to get those detailed questions in the beginning of that date, because if he has no job and he's not giving you a reason why or what he has planned in the near future, then I would say no bueno. Okay, so another question is, should you date someone with kids? Or how do you ask, do you have children? Okay, so if you've dated this person for, say, about 2 weeks, and they haven't mentioned they had children, and then you accidentally find out they did, it's then up to you to see if you want to carry that further. Because if you don't want to be with someone who has children, then you should stop at that point. You shouldn't continue to date that person just because you have some feelings for them. If you truly don't want to be with someone who has children already, then you shouldn't even continue dating that person. Now, if you don't mind um, the person you're with having children and they've told you, then pursue that. It's your life. You can choose whether you want to be with somebody who have children or not. I think that the way to ask that question, it should be within that 2 week frame of you dating this person. Like, tell me a little bit about your family. Don't just like, do you have children? Like, that's super ghetto. Like, don't do that. Tell me about your family. Are you the siblings? Do what's going on with your mom and dad? Do you have any children? Slowly introduce that conversation into that within that 2 week time frame. Okay, because I would say you definitely want to get to know someone before you start asking about their family, because you're now basing it off of if they have kids or not. But if you get to know that person, you will then know what type of character he is or she is, and then you can base, well, do I want to be with this person and their child or their children, or do I not want to be with this person because I don't like his characteristics, so that means I probably won't like him as a parent or her as a parent. So, within 2 weeks, try to get some information on their family, excuse me, on their family and on if they have children or not. And are you willing to, at whatever age you are, to deal with whatever comes with that? So, 2 weeks time span, people. Okay, the age old question is, do you have debt? Oh, my butt. It's the age old question, do you have debt? How do you ask somebody if they have any debt? Or, like most people would come out and say, do you have bad credit? Well, I wouldn't say to ask somebody, do you have bad credit? Because asking somebody, do they have bad credit, is like asking, can you borrow their car? Is very inappropriate. How you now, like I said, the first one with the children, 2 weeks. After you've gotten to know someone for 2 weeks, within a month, you should discuss their debt, because you don't want to continue a relationship with someone who's so in debt that they can't take you out to dinner, or they are, flossing and throwing all this swag everywhere. Then you come later find out they got debt. Like, what can they do for you? As a woman, you want to feel secure in your relationship, and as you continue to move on in that relationship, you want to be able to know that he has your back. If you need a bill paid, he's able to have a little extra cash just to help you out. I think as far as like a man with a woman, accepting a woman who has debt, excuse me, I think it's a little easier, because as women, we do want to feel secure with knowing that you're able to take care of us. With the man, dealing with a woman with debt, as long as she's upfront and honest with him, I think he would be okay with it. You gotta learn your boundaries. Most men looking for a successful woman, and you know, women tend to get debt with shopping and credit cards and things like that. That can be easily cleaned up if your partner is willing to help you manage that. Now, for a man who has debt, is majority of the time it's because he's trying to chase some dream that he cannot achieve, or it's some type of past drama that he's having to deal with, whether it be something with your baby mama, or a old job, or I'm trying to do music. Like, certain things you just have to say, I can't I can't deal with this, I can't tolerate it. You gotta really pick and choose what you're looking for in your spouse, in your partner. Because I think debt, if you're looking for a serious relationship, trying to head towards marriage, debt can easily destroy a relationship. Now, when me and my husband first started dating, gotta get a little wine. There we go. When me and my husband first started dating, I didn't have any debt, but I didn't have any real credit either. So it was like a clean slate. He, on the other hand, had a little debt, which, you know, but he always maintained his job. He always maintained his career. So I kind of overlooked that, just because I knew he was in a steady position. So we did have to build up that. I had to build my credit in general, and he had to clean up his. And now we're at a great place with each other. Now our relationship is stronger than ever. I do think that sometimes, um, when two people are starting out, as equals in the relationship, trying to move forward, that definitely strengthens that relationship, because you've been through the bottom, you've been through the pits of it, and now you're just trying to evolve and create this dominant power couple. And I think that goes a long way in relationships. Another question that a lot of my friends asked was, how did I determine a second date with my husband? That one is kind of funny because from our first date to our second, like we were just inseparable. We had a real strong connection right off the bat. Most people don't have that. So I would say how to determine a second date with a person is by their conversation from that first date. You know, if it's easy flowing, if it's effortless on the communication, yeah, I would say go on a second date. Obviously, there's some chemistry there. You know, even if you don't find that person overly attractive, you have a connection, you know, emotionally with the conversation that they have. Maybe not physical, but definitely emotional. You have some interest in this person. Otherwise, you wouldn't have continued to discuss and get in depth and you know, personable with this person on the first date. So I really think conversation, um, how he's treating you, how she's treating you, that first date determines a second date. So when should you have sex from dating someone? You know what? I don't know. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I would say again. It depends on the chemistry that you have. Some people can sleep with you on the first date, and you guys are inseparable, and you know you have a great life together, get married, and have children or whatever. Sometimes guys don't like a girl to sleep with you. You know, guys don't want a girl that gives it up on the first night. But you know, as I look in this new generation, this new age, it's, you know, almost effortless that people sleep around with each other and have great relationships. So I mean, for me, I think you should definitely wait to have sex with someone at least 2 weeks, and it goes back to me discussing their background and, you know, their family and children and, you know, things like that, because you want to get to know someone before you become intimate. You know, you don't want to, just because they're attractive, just because, you know, he got a six pack and muscles popping out everywhere, you know, that doesn't make for great sex. Or if she's, you know, beautiful with long, luxurious hair and, you know, got the body, you know, all that type of stuff, it doesn't necessarily make for great sex. Because one thing that could happen is you could get a build up in your mind about how this is going to be, and then when it actually happens, you kind of disappointed yourself or you were let down because of the extreme build up of what you've done because of how this person looks. So I would definitely say a 2 week mark to determine if you feel like you should have sex with this person. Even if you really want to, I would say the build up, excuse me, I would say the build up is way more intense, you know, so you want to just build up that romance to get to know that person, to understand that person before you be intimately involved. Another relationship advice that I have is on the first argument that you have with your spouse, that very first argument that you two have, don't get overheated in that conversation, because then you'll say things you don't mean, or you will show that person the worst side of you, and that can ruin his or her perception of you, you know, as that relationship goes on, if it even goes on. You know, you want to take the time to listen to why that person is upset. You want to take the time to communicate that you understand why that person is upset, and why it made you upset, you know. Because you can have the argument with someone and you don't know what the argument's about, but the other person is upset. So you did need to find out why. and then figure out if that made you emotionally hurt some way, and then you two address that together. And if you can't address it at that moment, walk away and then come back to it. Don't just go off the handle, throwing things, arguing in each other's face, because you're taking each other's energy and you are making it manifest to something so much greater than what it actually is. Like something so small, so simple, you're making it become this huge giant monster. And it doesn't have to be that way. So just take a moment, breathe, and come back to, talk it out. Okay, so my final question would be, when should you introduce your spouse to your parents? Well, now, the person you're dating should be introduced to the family, I would say a month, because within the 2 weeks, you've got to know the individual personality, his characteristics. You've gotten to get some conversation about who he is and his family. So I would say, after if you've gotten over those conversations, and if you've been sexually involved, I would say a month would be a good time to introduce the parents, not the whole family, but the parents. You want to see how his parents' relationship is, if they're together, if they're not together, and if they're not married, then you know to see how they get along with their spouse. How does the mother react to you as another woman coming into his life, or how does the man reacts to another man coming into your life? Is he somebody you would want to take home to meet your father or your mother? Is she someone you want to want to bring home to meet your father or your mother? Because I think parents' opinions are a real important aspect of who you're dating, because it says you a lot about you. It says you have um, a good head on your shoulder. You're responsible enough to make smart decisions with the people you date. You know, you shouldn't bring a drive-by home to your parents. Okay, you shouldn't bring um, your booty calls home to your parents, or um, you know, just a friend. Okay, you should bring that person to your parents. If you're really looking to be in a relationship and possibly get married or things like that, I would say a month. You've got to know him as an individual. If that person has children, that would I would say be different, because you don't want to introduce your children to someone who you've only known a month. I would say that would be a little longer. But the parents, I would say you should encourage, that would be a month. And then children, I would say maybe 3 months, because you don't want you want to make sure you are willing to be with that person and that person's willing to be with you. So if you get a good go ahead from the parents, then introduce your children. If your parents don't really care for the person you're with, but you have deep feelings, I would say give it some time. Then determine if you still want to be with that person. Because some parents don't want to let their baby go away. They don't want to see somebody new in their life, or they may have liked the last person that you was with, and now they can't get over that. So I would say a good first impression is very key, especially for women. You have to show up dressed appropriately. I'm not saying change who you are, but I'm saying don't come out here looking like a thought to meet mama. Like, come on now. Um, and then guys, don't be coming out here with your pants sagging and your hat all crooked, and like, you have to be respectful of an elder person, no matter if it's 5 years older or 25 years older than you. You have to show that respect. Um, but a little bit goes a long way with parents. As long as you're being nice and polite, that first interaction, it makes a difference. Okay, So I've given you a couple of tips, some advice on, dating and relationships. Hopefully it helped you some. If you have any more questions, comment below. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram. Let me know what you think. Like, share this page. Subscribe if you haven't already. And, thanks for tuning in. This is Jessica Chats, and I am your host, Jessica, with this couch chat. Bye.